Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Svatsvatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye. Nashta Prayeshu Abhareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistihiki. Today we are reading from Canto 10, chapter 56, the Shyam Taka Jewel, text 23 to 45. Text 23. The two fought furiously in single combat, each determined to win, contending against each other with various weapons and then with stones, tree trunks, and finally their bare arms. They struggled like two hawks battling over a piece of flesh. Text 24. The fight went on without rest for 28 days, the two opponents striking each other with their fists, which fell like the cracking blows of lightning. Text 25. His bulging muscles pummeled by the blows of Lord Krishna's fists, his strength faltering and his limbs perspiring, Jambavan, greatly astonished, finally spoke to the Lord. Text 26. Jambavan said, I know now that you are the life air and the sensory, mental, and bodily strength of all living beings. You are Lord Vishnu, the original person, the supreme, all-powerful controller. Text 27. You are the ultimate creator of all creators of the universe, and of everything created, you are the underlying substance. You are the subduer of all subduers, the supreme Lord and supreme soul of all souls. Text 28. You are he who impelled the ocean to give way when his sidelong glances, slightly manifesting his anger, disturbed the crocodiles and timangala fish within the watery depths. You are he who built a great bridge to establish his fame, who burned down the city of Lanka and whose arrows severed the heads of Ravan, which then fell on the ground. Text 29 and 30. Sukadev Goswami continued, O king, Lord Krishna then addressed the king of the bears, who had understood the truth. The lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, touched Jambavan with his hand, which bestows all blessings, and spoke to his devotee with some sublime compassion, his grave voice deeply resounding like a cloud. Text 31. Lord Krishna said, It is for this jewel, O Lord of the bears, that we have come to your cave. I intend to use the jewel to disprove the false accusation against me. Text 32. Thus addressed, Jambavan happily honored Lord Krishna by offering him his maiden daughter, Jambavati, together with the jewel. Text 33. After Lord Sari had entered the cave, the people of Dwarka who had accompanied him had waited 12 days without seeing him come out again. Finally, they had given up and returned to their city in great sorrow. Text 34. When Devaki, Rukmani Devi, Vasudeva, and the Lord's other relatives and friends heard that he had not come out of the cave, they all lamented. Text 35. Cursing Satrajit, the sorrowful residents of Dwarka approached a Durga deity named Chandrabhaga and prayed to her for Krishna's return. Text 36. When the citizens had finished worshipping the demigoddess, she spoke to them in response, promising to grant their requests. Just then, Lord Krishna, who had achieved his purpose, appeared before them in the company of his new wife, filling them with joy. Text 37. Seeing Lord Rishikesha return as if from death, accompanied by his new wife, and wearing the Shramptaka jewel on his neck, all the people were roused to jubilation. Text 38. Lord Krishna summoned Satrajit to the royal assembly. There, in the presence of King Ugrasena, Krishna announced the recovery of the jewel and then formally presented to Satrajit. Text 39. Hanging his head in great shame, Satrajit took the gem and returned home. all the while feeling remorse for his sinful behavior. Text 40 to 42. Pondering over his grievous offense and worried about the possibility of conflict with the Lord's mighty devotees, King Satyajit thought, how can I cleanse myself of my contamination, and how may Lord Achyuta become satisfied with me? What can I do to regain my good fortune and avoid being cursed by the populace for being so short-sighted, miserly, foolish, and avaricious? I shall give my daughter, the jewel of all women, to the Lord, together with a Sayamtaka jewel. That indeed is the only proper way to pacify him. Text 43. Having thus intelligently made up his mind, King Satyajit personally arranged to present Lord Krishna with his fair daughter and the Sayamtaka jewel. Text 44. The Lord married Satyabhama in proper religious fashion, possessed of excellent behavior, along with beauty, broad-mindedness, and all other good qualities. She had been sought by many men. Text 45. The Supreme Personality of Godhead told Satyajit, we do not care to take this jewel back, O king. You are the sun god's devotee, so let it stay in your possession. Thus, we will always enjoy its benefit. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of Canto 10, chapter 56, the Sam Mataka jewel. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Vijay Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna to Chaitanya Chandra Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Prabhupada. Yeah, whenever you're ready, please take over, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sundar Prabhu, and thank you, Vidya Maharaj Mataji, for reading the shlokas today. I will start by offering my prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam panghum langayati girim yadkripatamaham vande Shri Gurudin Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we're continuing the wonderful description, the Leela of Lord Krishna recovering the Shamantakamani, the Shamantak jewel. So just a brief background. We have seen how King Satyajit had come to Dwarka with this wonderful gem that he had acquired by doing tapasya to his Ishtadev, Sri Surya Bhagwan, the sun god. And by worshipping the sun god was pleased with Satyajit Maharaj, and he gave him this wonderful jewel, which produced innumerable amounts of gold, and always made sure that there was no calamity wherever it was there. So with this, King Satyajit, when he presents to Dwarka, the residents initially think that, oh, the sun god has come because of its effulgence, but then they realize that, no, this is actually another living entity, King Satyajit. And then seeing the beauty of the gem, Lord Krishna suggests that it should be offered to the king of the Yadus, Maharaj Ugrasen. But Satyajit, he wants to keep it for himself. He becomes envious. He becomes greedy for it. And then once his brother is out hunting and he takes the gem in the form of a necklace, and he's killed by a wild animal. And when he's killed by the wild animal, people accuse, King Satyajit feels that because Krishna wanted it, he killed his brother to get the jewel. And that's why there's a rumor that starts spreading that maybe Krishna did it, because nobody knows who did it. There's a rumor that starts spreading. So with that, Lord Krishna, in order to protect the name and fame of the Yadu dynasty, he goes out with a few people, Dwarkavasis, in the forest to look for the Satyajit's brother, and they come across this lion that was killed. It looks like in a battle, and they follow the footprints to a cave, and they determine that whoever must be in the cave must have been a very ferocious person, and he must have taken the Shamantak money. So now Krishna is entering the cave. As soon as he enters the cave, he sees a little boy who's playing with the Shamantak jewel. And then immediately upon seeing Krishna, the nurse for the boy gives out a shriek cry. And then we see that Jamvan, there's a wonderful bear from Ramayana, Shri Jamvanji. He immediately comes to rescue the child, and he's full of anger and rage because he's also getting attached to the Shamantak. So that is where the discussion today starts. So once Jamban comes into the scene, he challenges Lord Krishna, and then the two fought furiously in single combat, each determined to win, contending against each other with various weapons and then with stones, tree trunks, and finally their bare arms. They struggled like two hawks battling over a piece of flesh. Now, in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada explains why did Jamvan not recognize his own sweet Lord? You know? It is amazing that this is the same Lord that Jamvan fought along with in the battle in the battle for Lanka, and this is his dearmost worshipable deity. But in this particular instance, Jamvan is not able to recognize that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives a few reasons why one is not able to, even though one may be spiritually inclined, one may be in mode of sattva or shuddha sattva, sometimes one falters and is not able to recognize the good in things, or the even when God comes in front of us, we're not able to recognize in particular situations even. So Srila Prabhupada explains that the first reason he explains is because of anger. So when Jamvan he heard the nurse for the child cry, and he saw a personality come into the cave likely to steal the Shamantak jewel, he became angry. So anger is one reason that deludes our intelligence. Srila Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita 3.37 that Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samadbhava Mahapapo Mahashana Mahapapo Evinam, with the very name, that the enemy, the lust, anger, and greed, these are the enemies of the living entity. These enemies are not externally, they're not hiding somewhere else in somebody else's house, but they are hiding within our own consciousness. And if we do not conquer these enemies, including lust, anger, and greed, then that takes us to the path of hell. So similarly, in Jamban's case, his first response was anger upon seeing a person come into the cave, because immediately he thought that this person has come to take away my wealth, which was the Shamantak jewel, and that brings us to the second reason Srila Prabhupada states. The second reason is that he became attached to it. So because of material attachment, sometimes we can temporarily forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we start thinking about our own comforts, when we start thinking about our own sense gratification, then we slowly turn away from Krishna. Srila Prabhupada often quotes this verse: Krishna bhuliya jiva bhoga vancha kare, pashate pashate maya tare japati adhare. That means that when the living entity forgets Lord Krishna, and turns away from Lord Krishna, he goes into darkness. And when he turns away from Lord Krishna and wants to enjoy for his own sense gratification, what happens as a result is Maya Devi is immediately standing nearby and catches hold of that living entity. And the living entity ends up forgetting Sri Krishna. So in this particular way, if we develop attachment to material things, then it is possible that even we, may lose our appreciation for bhakti, may lose our appreciation for devotees. So we have to guard against this a lot. And this is it's a simple thing to understand, that as living entities, we have very limited capability of intelligence, of memory, of time. And we can only fit certain amount of things into those categories. For example, we all travel, right? And sometimes when you're making a long travel, going back home to India or somewhere, and you have to pack your suitcase, right? Now, there is only a certain limit that you can pack to, right? Because based on size and weight. And you're seeing at the end, sometimes we are struggling to meet the size and the weight requirement. Oh, what should I remove? You fill so many things. And then you start thinking, oh, what should I remove? What should I remove? Because something has to come out. So similarly, in our consciousness, in our time of the day, if we fill it up with so many material things, so many material goals, so many material aspirations, something has to come out. And oftentimes, sometimes people take out bhakti. They say, oh, we don't have time for it. Let me do it some other time. Let me do it another day. So, because of material attachment, we have to give up that material attachment to make up space in our suitcase, make that space in our time, in our consciousness, actively remember Krishna and be connected to Krishna. If we have too much material attachments, we'll be filling our suitcases with all unnecessary things and leave the most valuable gift that has been given to us behind. That's why it is very important. In this particular example, we understand that Jamban, even though being the great devotee of the Lord, because of attachment to the Shamantak jewel, he charged the Lord and engaged in a fight with him. So these are two understandings that we get from a negative perspective. But from a positive perspective, Srila Prabhupada explains that the reason Jamban fought with Lord Krishna was because of Lord Krishna's desire. Because when the Lord wants to engage in a sporting event, when he wants to enjoy what we call Veeraras or Shauraras, the the mood of bravery, he engages his own devotee to fight against him so that he can enjoy like a sporting match. And in that particular way, he enjoys this ras because Sri Krishna is Rasaraj. So in this particular way, because Lord Krishna wanted to enjoy, he engages, bewilders Jamvan and engages in this wonderful fight. Now, these two people, the Lord and his devotee, they are fighting furiously in combat. Okay, and they're contending against each other. First, they fight with stones, then tree trunks, and finally, when there's nothing else to pick up and fight, they fight with bare arms, and they are struggling just like two hawks. Are you see sometimes the birds fighting over food. So just like that, and this fight went on without rest for 28 days, and the two opponents were striking each other with fists which felt like blows of lightning. Now, you would think that this is a match, a battle between the Lord and his devotee, and the fight is going on for 28 days. Now, we know that based on tattva, that the Lord is supreme powerful. He is the source of power of Jamban also. So how can the battle go on for 28 days? No, it is in the terms of tattva, in the terms of facts, it is an unequal battle. It is an unfair battle. Right? It is a battle with somebody who possesses everything, with somebody who possesses a very limited quantity of things. But still, the battle goes on for 28 days. One, because the Lord wanted it to go on for 28 days. He wanted to enjoy a sporting match. So there is a difference that we have to understand. I was hearing a lecture from His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj recently, that oftentimes the Lord will do things that look ordinary, that look just like, oh, people around us are doing it. So Lord does those things because he wants to enjoy Leela. So that is why there is a difference between Tattva and Leela. Tattva is fact. Lord is the supreme power, including the power of Jamban. And Leela is Lord is enjoying a sporting match with his devotee, and that is why he lets it continue for 28 days. And for those of us who have children, it's a very common thing to understand. Suppose when a child says, "Oh, Father, I want to play soccer with you. I want to play baseball with you." Then you say, "Okay, let's play." But when you play with the child, you don't play with your entire power or entire skill set because you don't want to hurt the child. Like if you're playing baseball, you don't take the ball and just throw it at the child like with full force, like you would to another regular opponent. And because it's your child, because it's your somebody who's very dear to you, you are playing almost at the level of the child because you want to the child to have fun. and you want to enjoy this exchange, loving exchange with the child. It's not that you cannot throw the ball fast with great speed, but it is because your opponent is somebody very dear to you. You adjust your strength accordingly to participate in that. Similarly, our Bhagwan, he's the source of all strength in this world. He's Balaram. He but even then, just to engage in this sporting match, just like we would with our children or near dear ones, the Lord, continues this battle for 28 days. Okay. So after fighting for 28 days, finally, being pummeled by the Lord Krishna's fists, his strength starts to falter. And then Jamvan finally recognizes that this must be my Supreme Lord. Because it was said, Srila Prabhupada says that Jambanji was one of the strongest living entities at that time. We know even from Ramayana the wonderful qualities of Sri Jambanji, that he was actually one of the most powerful, and he had encircled the earth, the globe, so many times. And he reveals all this to Sri Hanumanji and all the monkey army when the question comes of who's going to jump over to Lanka. So he knew himself, Jambanji, that he is one of the most powerful personalities existing on earth at that time. So how is it that somebody else could come and defeat him? The only way this is possible is this must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he comes to that realization. The other thing, Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful explanation. That is why our acharyas, when we read their purports, it's so much, it's so beautiful. In Sri Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes that Jamvan ji had approached the Lord out of anger and enmity and envy. But as soon as the Lord engaged Jamvan ji into the service of fighting with Krishna, the battle with Krishna, because of doing this seva to please the Lord through battle, through a sporting match, Jamvan ji's heart got purified. Srila Prabhupada explains that that is the power of service. That is the power of seva. Now you see that you may question that what kind of service is this? Fighting with the Lord. Service means doing arti to the Lord, or changing the deity's dress. No, service to the Lord can be in many different forms. Can be direct, indirect. So now we are seeing that we are having a wonderful celebration, 5-day celebration coming up for our Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani in the temple. There are so many different kinds of services that are there. And there can be cooking service, there can be service to buy groceries, this gift shop is having so many other things to gifts that they're wanting to celebrate the occasion with. There's decoration service, there's book distribution service, and there's so many different services that sometimes may be direct or indirect. But here we can see from this example of Jamanji that because he was engaged in the service, even though it seemed like a very indirect service to fight with the Lord, but for his pleasure, that service, Srila Prabhupada explains, purified his heart and enabled him to see finally that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and I've seen with personal example myself that sometimes people come into Krishna consciousness, they have a little bit of appreciation for ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's work, but still they're not able to commit themselves to the path of bhakti. But once you engage them in some service, once they start serving the Lord or serving the devotees, slowly, the anarthas are removed, and the Lord will give us attraction to Krishna, to himself. And then finally, just by doing service, I've seen so many people who start chanting just because of their doing some service or engaged in some way to the Lord. Similarly, in this way, Sri Jamanji was able to engage in able to see the Lord for himself. And then when he sees the Lord, he realizes that this is none other than Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. You are he who impelled the ocean to give way. You are he who built a great bridge to establish his name to burn down the city of Lanka, and whose arrows severed the heads of Ravan. So notice, realizing that this is his most worshipable deity of Sri Ramchandra, Jamanji becomes elated. And then Sri Bhagwan, after engaging his devotee in such wonderful seva, he then puts his hand over the devotee so that he takes away all the fatigue, the tiredness of the devotee because of engaging in this particular service. And then Shri Krishna tells him, addresses him as the king of the jungle. The reason Prabhupada says he's called king of the jungle is because normally king of the jungle is the lion, but because Jambanji had defeated even the lion in battle, he becomes the king of the jungle. And he says that I intend to use the jewel to disprove the false accusations against me. So this is one other point that we can understand from this whole Leela of the Shamantak Mani, that sometimes whatever we may do, some people will question us. Some people may misunderstand us. Some people may have rumors against us. That if they did even for Lord Krishna, then who are we? But in our service, in our path of bhakti, if this was to happen, we should learn to tolerate. We should learn, because the greatness of a person is the ability to tolerate provoking situations. If somebody provokes us, starts a rumor about us, or says things about us, we do not necessarily have to engage with each and every person, but sometimes it may be necessary to clear our name, just like Lord Krishna is showing. But the point to understand is that in this material world, in this age of Kali, it is bound to happen. Instead of focusing on these distractions, we should maintain our attraction towards Krishna. So we can continue to advance in the path of bhakti instead of getting stuck looking here and there and arguing with people. In text 32, it is said that understanding that this is a Supreme Lord, Jambanji offered both his daughter, Jambati, along with the jewel. And then the citizens of Dwarka who were standing outside after 12 days, they returned back. So again, they were exchanging this wonderful relationship with the Lord, not in terms of as Supreme Personality of Godhead, but just as in a majestic king. So they did not show what happened. After 12 days, Lord Krishna did not return, and all the family members were lamenting. And they go and pray to Goddess Durga, named Chandrabhaga. And as soon as they pray, the Lord fulfills their desire and he presents himself before. Seeing him, everybody becomes elated. And then the Lord describes to everybody in front of King Ugrasen what happened. How the Satrajit Maharaj's brother was killed, and the lion took the jewel, and Jambanji took the jewel from the lion, and then he explains the whole thing. Now, understanding this, Satrajit Maharaj, the king, became very ashamed that he had falsely accused the Lord. So he took the gem and returned home, but he wanted to repent for his misdeeds. So he offers to King Satrajit his daughter in marriage, along with, and that is Satyabhama. And then he also offers the jewel back. But Lord Krishna says that, you are the devotee of the sun god. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that whoever you worship, you will go to that particular loka, that particular destination. Because you're worshiper of sun god, you keep the jewel with you only. Stating that to achieve Lord Krishna, you need one-pointed devotion to him. So in this way, the jewel stays with Satyajit Maharaj, but in Dwarka, so that everybody enjoys the benefits of it. So I hope with these lessons that Srila Prabhupada has taught us in the Krishna book, that we can see this wonderful narration of the Shamantak Mani and things that we can learn from it. With this, I'll end the discussion today. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. Your explanation is like practically it is very good, Prabhu, because the explanation generally, whatever it is there in the story, people will explain, but you are explain in the practical way, baggage storing when we are going to India and all. So people will understand clearly what it meant for us. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Chaitanya.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.